And welcome back to Hoopsville, everybody. Hope you're enjoying your December. We want to thank again Kings women's basketball coach Brian Donahue for joining us here on Hoopsville. Certainly appreciate him. And if you want more information, go to their website, etc., about his battle. Certainly appreciate it. We're going to switch gears now and talk men's basketball. And we're going to start at the top with one of the top 5 teams in the country. And of course, out of one of the toughest conferences in the country, out of one of the more difficult regions out of the country. You get my drift. We're going to start there at the top. And joining me on the Hoopsville hotline is Coach Ron Rose and the number 5 ranked Illinois Wesleyan Titans. Coach, welcome to Hoopsville.
Hi, Dave. How are you?
I am doing well, sir. Happy Thanksgiving, and for you guys, that was a nice long break. You haven't played since the 26th, and you'll get back on the court here in 2 days against Wash U. So a nice 10-day break there. You're a little beat up. You and I talked about it off the air. So the 10 days is perfectly timed. But at the same time, does a 10-day gap there at the beginning of the season scare a coach a little bit?
Well, it's having that long off is not ideal.
Yeah.
But I will say this first time in my 8 years here at Wesleyan that we have not played on that Saturday or Sunday after Thanksgiving, and it allowed us to let our guys go home for 3 days.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping, mentally that's a nice break. And then because we have been so beat up, it did, not by plan, but it did give us extra time for some guys to do some rehab and heal, and hopefully that will pay dividends as well.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. Let's talk about the start to the season. You're 4-1 on the year. Start off with 3 straight wins against Manchester, Aurora, and Cole, and then Loris tripped you up. Of course, Loris has been the top 25 killer so far this season, or near killer. Lost to them on the road by 5 on the second weekend. Of course, you started on back-to-back weekends playing at in tournaments essentially. And then you travel at home when Wabash came to visit and beat them by 11 before taking the break. So in your book, I realize you probably wanted an unblemished record, but from your book, how's the team start for you?
Well, you break down the season in parts, and we look at the preseason and then the games leading up to Thanksgiving, and kind of evaluate where we're at. And, we're making progress. It's been not as smooth as we'd hoped in terms of injuries. We've had so many injuries that we've had guys in and out of the lineup. We've had as many as 4 guys that you would figure into your immediate rotation that sat out last game. And so we've had some challenges that way. I think if you're looking at it positively, it's given us a chance to develop our depth. It's given us a chance to really get a look at guys that might not have had that opportunity. I am pleased that we've held the ship together during kind of this injury bug that we've had and continued to improve. And then the challenge is, as guys are getting healthy and getting back into it, how do you get those players back into a rotation and as they're working themselves back into shape? So it has not been smooth sailing, but I would say I am pleased with the effort we've given, the progress we've made, given the challenges we've had.
You'll get right back in the nitty-gritty here. You'll take on Wash U here on Saturday at home. Yeah, I had to double-check that first. You'll play them at home. Of course, Wash U ranked number 8 right now in the top 25. Then you'll take another week off, so that might be good for injuries as well, before you travel to Chicago to play them. And then you have Blackburn and Wilmington and another team to be decided at a Hope tournament right before Christmas. So you've got a little bit of time here to still rest up. The bulk of your schedule, and obviously CCIW play doesn't happen until January, so this could be a good time for you guys to kind of just make sure all the knees are in the right places and all the bodies are mended and all the I's are dotted and T's are crossed.
Well, it is good. Our goal is to try to be, by the time we get into conference play, it looks like there's a good chance we can be healthy and have our whole roster in place. At the same time, as you're competing right now, these games are as important in terms of NCAA tournament bids and seedings and those type of things as the games in the conference. So you can't take losses now and just count on winning the CCIW conference tournament, because we know how challenging that is to do.
Yeah.
So we've got to find ways to continue to win and continue to compete and play at the highest level. And when you're looking at WashU coming in and University of Chicago and some of the teams that we have coming up, those are quality teams. Those are, you'd like to have be at full strength, and even though we're not, with 6 seniors on our roster and the experience that we have, we feel like we can still continue to compete and need to do that to try to put together a resume that we hope will lend itself to the end of the season as well.
You were the preseason number 2 team in the country, having finished 9th last year, had 9 first-place votes. Obviously, plenty of eyes on the Titans heading in. This is following last year's pretty impressive 23-6 season. And a trip to the Sweet 16 where you lost to North Central, unfortunately coming out of our resurrected bracket of death, which was almost unavoidable. But of course, I had to play Transylvania, then WashU, and North Central. Is this team a top 5 team in your mind? I mean, I ask that because I'll have coaches look at me and go, yeah, we're not going to finish second in the conference, when every other coach thinks they are. Are you a top 5 team in the conference, or are you going to undersell me here and go, you're just a top 25 team in the country?
Do you have any coaches that come in and say, yeah, we're a top 5?
I want coaches
have you ever
too.
Had one say that?
I don't know. Probably not. Well, yes, I do. At the end of the season, they always say they're number 1 when they've won the championship.
Yeah, there we go. Well, I really like my team, but I'm not going to go there, Dave.
No bulletin board material. Darn.
I do think that if we can get all our pieces in place, and I think we have a chance to be a very good team. I think we've got a high talent level here. We've got a lot of, when you're looking at, do you have ball handlers, shooters, size? We've got a lot of pieces that would make up a very quality team. It's really too early to tell whether, how we're going to develop. Every year is different.
Yeah.
There's some good fortune that always falls into a season. I do think, though, with the senior leadership I've got, we are going to be competitive, and we're hoping that we can continue to develop so that at the end of the year we could be considered one of the better teams in the country. But it's so early in the year, and we've dealt with so much adversity already. I hope that kind of creates a callus for us, a toughness about us that will help us moving forward.
You go back to last year and you won 13 straight games. You go into the final game of the regular season in the CCIW undefeated. North Central had been the team that everybody thought was going to win the conference, and you're sitting there on top undefeated. Of course, they trip you up in a game at their place to take that first win, or to keep you from getting an undefeated season, which I don't remember the last time that happened in the CCIW. And then you lose the next game against Augustana in the first round of the CCIW tournament. Was there ever a concern at that point with you? They're like, oh, great, we just hit the worst time possible. And how much do you take from that and use it now?
No team in the CCIW, I believe it's 40 years,
something
has
like
gone
that, yeah.
undefeated. I mean, it's a long time, and we actually have a shot at the buzzer in regulation. Yep. At North Central to win that game, and they're a terrific team, and Coach Reardon is one of the top coaches in the country, I believe, and they get us in overtime there, and I really think when that game was over, our team was so disappointed because we'd been riding that wave of momentum through the entire 7 weeks, and the goal of winning the conference, and then can we go undefeated, that we kind of emotionally crashed at that point, and we lost the first round of the conference tournament, and it was a different team that I'd been coaching the previous month or two, and I just think we were emotionally spent. That, I think, ultimately refocused us in a strange way, even though you don't want to take that loss, and
sure.
We're disappointed by it. I think that kind of rattled our cages, and then now we're fortunate to make the NCAA tournament. You lose, you're done. And I thought we had a good tournament run. Transylvania was a terrific team. Being able to go down to WashU and win at their place was a great win for us. And then, we played North Central tough at their place, and again, they were a very good team last year. And it's too bad because I do think probably that loss in the conference tournament at home might have cost us the opportunity to host.
Yeah, probably.
And so it's great lessons. I mean, and I think we've got so many guys that have had the opportunity. Our seniors have played. All they know is playing in the NCAA tournament at the end of the year. They're little spoiled. That just doesn't happen. But I think they understand what you have to do at this stage of the season to put yourself in a position to get some of those neat opportunities of playing in the tournament.
How do you plan to use that as a coaching tool this year?
Well, the nice part is, and I think the program, and it's been established long before I ever got here, between Coach Hornberger, Coach Bridges, Coach Trost, the winning tradition at Illinois Wesleyan has been passed on. But now that we've been, to the NCAA tournaments now 4 years in a row, the guys in our program understand that, and they do a lot of that legwork, Dave. It's great when your players, the more coaching they can do, the more leadership they can provide, the better program you have,
sure.
I think. And where the coaches can, do the teaching and preparing and things like that. And so from my standpoint, we don't talk about, just winning and losing a lot, and those type of things to our players. We're pretty much a one game at a time system here that, we're going to get ready for WashU, and we're not concerned about conference play right now. And every day, if we come in and get a little bit better at practice, and every game, if we can learn something and become a better team through the process, I think you're going to be a good team at the end of the year. And so I think all those experiences help the guys understand. It's a motivation because, and I think anyone who's played in the tournament, it is such a neat experience to have that motivates them, just that goal of trying to get back there and have that opportunity.
Let's talk about the team. Victor Davis, 15.4 points a game, 6.4 rebounds a game. Andrew Zimnick, 13.8 and 5.0 rebounds a game. Of course, he's averaging 2.6 assists a game. Dylan Overstreet, who's injured. We talked about team being banged up a little bit. 13 points a game, 5 rebounds a game, 5.5 assists a game. Alex Rossi's got 11 points. Pat Soderman has 9 points a game. You certainly have a wide variety. You have 5 seniors on this squad, 2 of them leading the way with Davis and Zimnick. But you talk about the bang up and the beat up, and that's Overstreet right now and some other guys. Overstreet's only played 2 games, we should point out. What's the makeup? We talk about the 5 seniors. You talk about these seniors not having any experience but playing in the NCAA tournament. But what about the rest of the guys? And who are the guys that maybe are the unsung heroes, or the ones that even the best in the CCIW, in the sense of bloggers and posters who certainly keep their eye on things, may be missing as well?
Well, the first 3 guys you listed in Davis, Zimnick, and Overstreet are our 3 returning all-conference guys that have done it, and they give us terrific experience. It was a unique year that we had. We graduated 2 seniors, 1 senior who started, Kevin Reed.
Right.
So you bring back a ton of guys who've played. You add a couple Division I transfers in the mix, one of who got hurt first hour of practice, and we're working him back into shape. Hope to get Jordan Nelson back pretty soon. But the guys that I see as stepping in, that have really stepped up, a Bryce Dolan, who's a sophomore, backs up Dylan Overstreet. He stepped in and has really made great strides here at the beginning of his sophomore season. Michael Mayberger is such a steady performer for us. He's a young man that has played every role you could ask for. He started some games for us. He's been the 6th man. He's been the 9th man. And he's just been that steady guy that, as a coach, it's great to have on your roster because he's going to be ready to play at all times. And it really kind of our style of play. It's team basketball. You see it, statistically, you see it in the averages.
Yep.
You see it in the minutes, and I think that makes it a very difficult style to play against because we have so many different guys that can step up on any given night.
I know we're only 5 games in, but the team's shooting 53% from the floor. They're 49% from beyond the arc. You're outscoring your opponents by 20. You're out-rebounding your opponents by about 5 a game. More assists than turnovers, et cetera, et cetera. Statistically, again, 5 games in, but with a beat-up squad, as you put it, you're playing pretty good basketball. How do you keep that momentum after a 10-day layoff before playing Wash? How do you keep that momentum as you head into Chicago? How do you keep that momentum as you head into January and start CCIW play?
Well, I think that these 10 days, one of the things that we are fortunate about, and I think our players realize because of our depth, we can have some terrific practices where our guys, when you put Victor Davis against Andrew Zimnick, you've got 2 6'5", 230-pound guys going at each other. In fact, we limit when they go against each other because they are so competitive. There's not a lot of teams in the country that have that luxury of guys being able to challenge each other like that on a daily basis. So we hope that the fact that they've been able to do that, over these 10 days, that maybe we won't feel the effects. I think experience that our guys have got so many games under their belt, again, that maybe the layoff won't be as big a deal. And then in terms of motivation, with 6 seniors, and here's the thing, that it's a unique group. They're all about the team. They're all about helping the team win. And there's such little ego in terms of, caring who scores the points or who gets the rebounds that, it just makes for a great culture to be a part of. It makes for, in terms of motivation, guys are going to come ready to play because everyone's pulling for each other. And I'm just very fortunate to have these 6 seniors that are leading the way, that set a culture and a standard within our program that I don't worry about, hey, are we going to be ready to go tonight? This is the last go-around. I'm really enjoying coaching these guys one final season, and I know they want to go out with a bang.
Before you go out with a bang, and obviously that would be Salem in mind, you got to get through this conference. Augustana's looking pretty strong this year. Wheaton, the talk has been pretty strong. North Central not off to a great start, though they lost a lot, though you never can sleep on them. Elmhurst, Carthage, Milliken. The CCIW, maybe in the last year or so, the bottom has not been as strong as it normally has been, but the top is always a dynamite conference. I'm not saying you're going undefeated, because clearly proving last year that just does not happen. I believe Champaign was sent to Coach Reardon, and I believe Miami Dolphins paid for it. But what do you got to do in this conference? What do you need to do to position yourself just right, not only for the CCIW tournament, but also for an at-large if you need it?
Well, we've always felt that if you can compete for a conference championship in the CCIW, you can compete on a national level. And so it does give you a gauge of where you at on a national level going through those 7 weeks. And it's a grind. I mean, it's Wednesday, Saturday for 7 straight weeks. And those teams that can be consistent and give great effort over usually position themselves favorably.
Yeah.
We've got a tough road. Our first 4 games of the conference are on the road. And so, early on we're going to be able to either set the table to kind of be the team that people are chasing, or we're going to be digging out of a hole because that's not an easy way to start with 4 road games. And so we've got to be on top of our game, early in the new year, early in the conference season. And there's so many great rivalries, and there's so much familiarity. I think, and I can't speak about other conferences, but I'll tell you this, there are some great coaches in the CCIW, and you better be on the top of your game and prepared for each and every opponent, because everyone's going to be giving each other their best shot.
Yeah, you say 4 on the road there. Elmhurst, Augustana, North Park, Milliken before you turn around and play 7 of the next 10 at home. But Wheaton, North Central, and Carthage are the next 3, 2 at home, 1 away. course, you got Franklin there at the beginning of January. They tripped you guys up at the end of December last season, so I know you're not sleeping on the Grizzlies either. Hey, Coach, appreciate you taking the time to join us here. Obviously, you didn't talk about it, but a big win as you beat D2 Wayona State. Too bad that doesn't count on your record. But certainly impressive there as well. I know that got some of the voters to turn their attention a little bit as well. But and by the way, you never know, you might meet hope at some point this season if everything shapes out. But congratulations on the start to the season. I appreciate you taking the time to join us. As always, we give the coach the final word. Any final thoughts you want to share with us or anybody who may be tuning in?
Well, as always, Dave, I appreciate you thinking about Illinois Wesleyan and having me on your show. You do a great job in terms of promoting Division III basketball. It's going to be another great season, and excited to follow you on D3 Hoops and all the action.
Well, thank you, Coach. Just so you know, I am expecting you in Salem.
Well,
whether you have your team or not.
I'm not going there, Dave, but I appreciate the vote of confidence.
But I did give you an out. Whether you bring your team or not, that's up. I still want to see you in Salem.
There you go.
Hey, Coach, thanks so much. Good luck the rest of the way. I'm sure we'll be talking about you. I know we will be talking about you, but hopefully we'll be talking to you on the show later in the season as well.
Terrific. Thanks, Dave.
All right, take care. Ron Rose joining us here from Illinois Wesleyan. The Titans, again, off to a 4-1 start. 1 loss to Loras. They play Wash U this weekend before taking another week off before playing Chicago. 2 big games. We'll certainly keep an eye on the Titans along the way. When we come back, we will continue the theme as it is. We're going to talk to Bowdoin's men's basketball coach. Won his 400th earlier this week. We'll talk to him about his team and the team's start on a 5-0 season. Of course, the NESCAC, another tough conference as well. You're listening to Hoopsville, presented by D3 Hoops, the National Association of Basketball Coaches. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter at D3 Hoopsville or use the hashtag Hoopsville, on Facebook at facebook.com/Hoopsville. And don't forget to also email us, hoopsville@d3hoops.com. We'll be back right after this.